Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we are going to be talking about the NBA dunk contest and how disappointing the dunk contest really was. And it's been disappointing for several years. And it's been so disappointing that the NBA had to bring up G League players in order to make it a little bit more interesting. So, with that in mind, you guys know how I extremely dislike the dunk contest, and I extremely dislike how they continue to push this dunk contest and how they continue to bring this into the All-Star weekend. It's one of the least popular events that go on in the All-Star weekend, and it's one of the least popular for a reason because, again, a lot of these dunks we've seen before. A lot of these dunks aren't creative. A lot of these dunks are just bad. And NBA Twitter was not happy with the dunk contest whatsoever. They weren't happy with Jaylen Brown being in the dunk contest either. Jaylen Brown, the overall creativity on his dunks, they were terrible. He jumped over Kai Cenat. For those of you who don't know who Kai Cenat is, he's one of the shortest streamers out there. He's 5'3", and he was sitting on a chair. So a 5'3" streamer sitting on a chair is who he dunked over, compared to Mac McClung literally dunking over Shaq. And again, it's the dunks that some of these players they come up with. It's what are you thinking? It's not impressive. I'm sorry, but it's I understand I can't do that. I understand a lot of players can't do that, but we've seen it before. We've seen it done we've seen much more impressive dunks done by much smaller players, and seeing the same type of dunks done by different taller players again. It's just not impressive. The fact that I'm able to describe the dunk and you guys can visualize it, already there's a problem. For example, Aaron Gordon. When he was in the dunk contest, he jumped over Taco Fall. Now, I have to explain that because Taco Fall is 7'5". He is really tall, and the fact that he jumped over him being 6'10" is astonishing, especially with all that weight. If you've seen Aaron Gordon and all the muscle that he has, it's difficult. Not only that, he had to take a seat in the air to dunk over the Magic mascot on a hoverboard. Now, obviously, that's way more difficult to process in your head if you haven't seen that dunk. But that dunk was amazing, and it was a dunk that I've never seen before. Because who can say that they've jumped over a mascot on a hoverboard? Those are things that you can't say. And again, in previous dunk contests, Blake Griffin dunked over a Kia. And with that in mind, a lot of these players, they don't do these impressive things, and they don't do these sort of impressive feats that would make me want to watch the dunk contest in any sort of way. And again, they weren't able to bring out a car, and he was just he dumped. We went from jumping over a car, jumping over a mascot, jumping over a really tall NBA player, to jumping over a streamer that's 5'3". It's just not impressive whatsoever. But they brought out Mac McClung for the dunk contest yet again. He's a G League player, but he's one of the more athletic players and a fan favorite. And he won the dunk contest again, back-to-back dunk contest champion, and a G League player. He won the NBA dunk contest. So I'm a bit surprised he doesn't have a job in the NBA, but again, it's just really dunking. There's not really much room for dunking in the NBA if you can't create space and shoot the ball. But again, he's a very athletic player. He literally jumped over someone, then grabbed the ball as he was jumping, let go of the ball, grabbed it again while he was in the air, and reversed it in. That is a very difficult dunk to do. It's very complicated, and the fact that he was able to do that on the first attempt is very, very impressive, and it doesn't really get talked about much given how unpopular the dunk contest actually is. it's easier to picture Jaylen Brown jumping over Kai Cenat than it is, and not only that, he was getting made fun of for that dunk in of itself because he barely got off the floor, and if he hadn't spread his legs, he would have hit Kai right in the back of the head. He also had another dunk where he commemorated. He did a tribute to a former basketball player who was in college who did not make it to the NBA, unfortunately, because he passed away. I'm going to get his exact name and the exact dunk that he did right now and the exact score of it. And obviously, like, that tribute dunk, it ended up getting more points than a dunk from Mac that took actual skill. And that's the reason why I'm talking about this, because a lot of people that were watching that dunk, they were like, he only got that score because he paid a tribute to Terrence Clark, and he was the college player who was about to, it looked like he was going to get drafted to the Celtics, but he didn't get drafted to the Celtics due to passing away in a car crash in 2021. Obviously, like, really sad news from him, and really the only thing that, like, they just put a picture of him in the paint and Jaylen Brown dunked, and that was enough to get him a lot of points for the dunk contest. And a lot of people did not, like, they appreciated the gesture, but the dunk in of itself, they did not think that it deserved that high of a number because it was a weak dunk. And it's like, it's difficult to grade dunks now, especially with, like, the grading system that these dunkers have now. It's more like whichever one gets more hype from the crowd, as opposed to which dunk is actually the best. And obviously, like, I understand you have to take, like, crowd consideration, but these type of dunks were really weak. We had we had Zach LaVine doing East Bay dunks from the foul line. And if you don't know what an East Bay dunk is, it's basically a dunk where you put it between the legs. And so, like, you start from the left hand and you put it between your legs going forward, and then you dunk it on the right hand. Obviously, like, it's a very difficult and athletic dunk. And he was also catching lobs from the free throw line. So obviously, like, if I'm going from watching that to watching something as lame as Jaylen Brown dunking over Kai Cenat, I'm going to feel a little disappointed. And it really, like, it pains me to say it, but, like, we need a lot more popular players in this dunk contest, and that would bring a lot more viewership, because you can't tell me that you wouldn't want to see a dunk contest with Zion Williamson, Russell Westbrook, Ja Morant, and LeBron James. You wouldn't want to see that? Anyone would love to see that. And even, like, for some tall players, like, some tall players could do some really athletic dunks. I'd like to see Victor Wembanyama in a dunk contest, see what he can do, given how, like, he can get a lot more creative with his dunks, seeing as he's 7'4" and he can just hop and he's all the way at the rim. We could see a lot of creative things with that, but again, like, there's not much creativity that could come from the dunk contest, at least from what I've seen. Like, the NBA has done all they can with all these dunks, and all of these athletes, they do all they can. I mean, Mac McClung, we should keep him in the dunk contest at this rate, because he keeps coming up with new dunks to stun us with, and I'm all for it. But it's players like that like bring in the energy, and, like, that bring in those new dunks that we need to see. College games, they show a lot more enthusiasm coming in from a lot of these dunk contests. And with that in mind, it's sort of like, why on earth aren't we bringing in a lot of players that have creativity in their dunks? Like, I understand that it's all up to the players to be able to participate, but we need to make it a little bit more entertaining. I wouldn't mind, honestly, if the All-Star game, like, and the All-Star dunk contest had some incentives that could go into winning this competition, rather than just getting a trophy. Like, big incentives from a lot of the sponsorships that the NBA has. Big incentives. And that would bring in a lot more players to want to participate. Obviously, LeBron doesn't want to participate in fear of getting injured. And that makes sense. But we shouldn't go into every competition expecting every player to get injured. That just takes away from a lot of the joy in these games, because again, a lot of these people, they only have money to go to one game or one event, and they want to see you participate. And if you're in the dunk contest and you're not doing your best dunks, if you're in the All-Star game, you're not playing your best, if you're in a regular game, you're not playing your best, a lot of those fans are going to feel disappointed. And that's what a lot of fans felt during the All-Star weekend. And like the court, that was really the interesting part about it, because it was a brand new court, and it was bright, and it was a spectacle. It was something to look at. But other than that, there wasn't really much that the new court brought to the table. Like, I mean, it was implemented pretty well for tributing Clark and all that, but I mean, why couldn't they do that for more dunks? Why couldn't they excuse me, why couldn't they add more effects to some of the dunks to make it just a little bit more entertaining? Because it's really difficult to make this dunk contest entertaining. We've seen it every time, and I'm running out of it. Again, it's a difficult subject to talk about because we see it all the time, and I'm running out of things to talk about, given how often we see the same dunks done by just different athletes. It's really difficult to get creative now. And with that in mind, I feel like maybe they should just completely remove the dunk contest entirely. If the NBA isn't going to get enough popular players and enough players to be able to bring that that competitive aspect to the dunk contest and bring sort of that viewership that dunk contest needs, and it sort of brings, like, it gives people like a reason to want to watch, then if you're not going to do that, I don't think you should bring the dunk contest back. It's just not needed, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, yes, we got to see some really good dunks from Mac, but we're not going to see that again because he's a G League player, and G League games aren't necessarily broadcasted that much. So this is like the only time he was able to do something that a lot of people wanted to see. And like, I get that, like, it brings attention to him for a few seconds, but like, we don't get to see this that much in a regular game, because again, the game has evolved to shooting a bunch of 3-pointers, and with the game evolved to shooting threes, it sort of makes a lot of these dunks a little less, it makes these dunks happen a lot less and happen less frequently. And I would say, like, you should put someone like Ant in the dunk contest, but then Ant might not even want to take the dunk contest seriously. We saw how he was in the skills competition, so, like, what if he doesn't take the dunk contest seriously? It's about taking it serious, and a lot of these players, they don't. And I'm very surprised that Ant didn't take it seriously, given how he likes to go in he has that mentality of, like, going in every single game. Oh, all these fans, like, they paid good money to watch me play. I gotta perform. I'm very surprised that he didn't try to perform in the skills competition. But with that, we're out of time for this third segment, so we're going to go into the fourth segment, where we talk about an update on the NBA season. The Brooklyn Nets fired their head coach yet again after less than a year after signing him for an extension. So I'm going to take one segment to talk about that after this short break.